Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are gonna be ranking all of the classes in Diablo Immortal and how I expect them to shake out in different areas of the game in that first week or so when the game is brand new after launch. So we'll be going over some categories that people are gonna be curious about on launch, like leveling 1 through 60, beginner friendly, and then obviously all of the other categories as well. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and obviously before we get into this, tier lists are always going to be subjective, especially when we're basing off of a beta in a game that is not live yet. But what I like to do on the channel is give you as much information as I can, as often as I can, and then try to keep things accurate as we evolve and we learn more about things. I also did not do this myself. I got many perspectives and asked many different people to help me collaborate on this, and I also talked to other players that played in the beta, got rank 1, were smashing, dominating in PvP, played like 1,000 hours, and I not only talked to one of these people, but many of these people. So in terms of trying to be accurate, I did my best to be accurate. But you know the drill. If you have 100 different people make a list like this, you're going to get 100 different results. So I did try my best to mitigate things, but obviously it's always a little bit subjective. And then the way that it is calculated, it boils down to an overall rating there at the bottom. And then on the far right in that gray section called weight, that is going to be the value that I am putting in that area of the game when it comes to the weight distribution of how much impact that rating will have when it comes to the overall grade. For instance, being really good in like PvP or the dungeons and challenge rifts, having a 10 in one of those super crucial areas is going to be a lot more important than being beginner friendly, because that might not be important for the longevity of the game, because someone who is a beginner will eventually become good. So just little things like that. And obviously I will adjust the weight as we go and kind of refine things. And also I will adjust the different areas. Like when the game is out, we'll try to add breaking it down by each individual area of the game, like farming materials, each dungeon, each boss, and start adding categories to this so people really can get a feel for how their class is going to be performing in different scenarios in the game. And of course, when there is the obvious adjustments that are going to happen, especially when a game is new, Blizzard obviously wants this game to be successful. So if something is underperforming, they're going to be looking to adjust that and get things kind of back in line to have all of the classes be somebody or be something that somebody is excited to play, because you don't want one or two classes to be irrelevant and not played by the player base. You would like to have a nice, balanced, rounded game where all of them make sense. So I would anticipate that there will probably be a lot of adjustments coming here in the next 2 or 3 months when it comes to the launch of Diablo Immortal. So now we'll just maybe go through a few of the things that really stand out when it comes to a list like this. So for solo play, a lot of people, and I may do some dedicated videos on some of these topics, but just to really hit a couple quick bullet points, I think maybe Necro and DH are going to be the best. If you're just gonna, if you're the type of player where you just want to log in and blast through content yourself, you don't want to have to worry about getting on Discord calls or grouping up with people. I would say that probably DH, because they crank out the most damage, they have multi-shot, can fire while they're moving, and then Necro, because of their minions, are going to be great in solo play. As far as synergy, every class is mostly decent at this. A Wizard might even go up to like a 9 or so eventually, once I can dive in and test them a little bit more, because of their ability to do meteors and set things on fire and combo skills with other people, black hole, suck things in and let your team kind of roast them. But the DH, it just has synergy. You're going to want to DH in every group because of Reign of Vengeance and their boss killing ability. The same with the Crusader, their ability to scout, do their draw and quarter with their Celestial Horse, and also their banner is one of the best support abilities in the game. But really, every class has some pretty cool synergies that can kind of work together, so we don't see any bad scores in that category. For leveling 1 to 60, I actually did do a dedicated video on this topic, and there's nobody that's like a 2 or a 3, but I do anticipate, for some of the solo reasons I talked about, DH, because of the insane damage. Necro brings a lot to the table, and minions are insane for the leveling process. And then really everything again is pretty decent. The Wizard, it could be a little bit more difficult to play and really combo things when you're still kind of building your heroes. So that one came up bringing the rear, but it's still fine. It's a 6. It's not like it's a 2. Then for PvP, I think the Barbarian is going to be an absolute menace because of the Undying Rage ability that is going to be a cheat death passive that turns them into a life-stealing machine while they are up in the fray, wreaking havoc on the team. And then, some of these are going to be very tough to get proper situation out of. The Demon Hunter brings up the rear as a 5, but that's still an average score. It's not like a 3. Demon Hunters can crank out a ton of damage if you have a team around you that is skillful enough to keep them up and firing away. Then as far as beginner friendly, like for someone who has never played a Diablo game before or anything, I think the Barbarian is going to be a very popular choice. You just run up there in the fray and start hacking and slashing, and you get your cheat death passive ability that is obviously going to be awesome for beginners as well. And then the Wizard is probably the least beginner friendly because you are going to have to kind of stand still and channel skills. You're going to have to combo spells. You're really going to have to pay attention and be that squishy spell damage dealer class. So Wizard is going to be maybe a little bit of a learning curve compared to some of your things like the Barbarian. Then for your dungeons and challenge rifts, it looks like most classes are mostly viable in the right group where you all kind of play together and play the class how it is designed to be played. We really don't see anybody that's like going to be a trash can horrible pick like a 2 or a 3. So as long as you're playing your class properly, most classes should perform fine in groups when it comes to like dungeons and challenge rifts. And then when you get to the last two categories here with support and damage, this is where things are going to start to get away from the center a little bit because, you've got like your Demon Hunter. There's not a whole lot of support utility they're bringing to the table with one of the lowest scores on the board. And then you've got your classes with amazing support, like the Crusader with their banner and an ability to scout the map and all that. And then for damage, DH, from what we know so far, seems like they're going to crank out the most damage in most scenarios in the game, but every class kind of can do a pretty good amount of damage. Maybe the Satyr brings up the rear. They're going to struggle a little bit with single target damage. They're more of a utility class and are obviously never going to keep up with something like the Demon Hunter in terms of just melting things in their path, especially like using Rain of Vengeance on a boss. And then at the bottom, it gives us a current overall ranking of 3 that are pretty close in the Satyr, DH, and Necro. And then the Barb is right there with them, which I think kind of makes sense. Those 4 classes are definitely seeming to be the most popular picks, in terms of Barb, Satyr, DH, and Necro. And then from what I'm seeing, the Monk and the Wizard are kind of tied for that number 5 spot, where they are the 2 lesser picked classes between the other 4. But I've also done videos on that topic before. I do think you're going to want a nice blend of all the different classes in the game because you want to be able to test things and have what you need for every different situation and have different ways to experience the game and different people to play with. So I do still think, even though Wizard and Monk are maybe a little bit less popular, you do still want them in your clan and in your warbands. I know in my warband, we are making sure to get 1 of each class, and then we're going to probably double dip with an extra like Barb and a DH or a Satyr and a DH, something like that. And the weight is obviously something that everyone's going to have a different perspective on, depending on where they're at in the game. Some people are going to really value PvP a lot more than other people that just want to focus on the PvE content. And then someone that's a beginner would really weight the beginner friendly thing to be like 25% or something. So, the numbers on the right, you just kind of try your best to get a general overarching representation of the largest percentage base as possible in terms of like averaging things out. But you'll have to adjust that also for how long the game is out. The different categories will have different weights on them as we can dive in and see how metas are shaking out and where the majority of the player base is kind of consuming and playing content. And then later on, when I add more categories to this and start ranking specific dungeons and specific scenarios, we may see these numbers adjust as well, completely irrelevant from all of the adjustments that are probably going to be happening with new sets coming to the game, new skills, new gems, like Blizzard doing balance changes and all of the different ways that the game is going to evolve. This will be something that I will have to keep up to date and probably do a video like once a month just to try to keep this as fresh as possible. So that is what we wanted to get covered in this one. Obviously, if you have any input, drop it below. I love to hear people's opinions, or you join the Discord server that I'm linking below and message me. I'm always happy to have discussions. We've got a room for Immortal chat to theorycraft all this different stuff, and I've got a team of people that are helping me work on things like this every single night. We've got the website coming soon where we will feature everything like this and keep all of these resources up to date as much as possible while getting as much community input and top tier input as I can whenever I'm putting together a list like this. So you know the drill. Everything you need is down below. All of the links are in the pinned comment and vid description. If you want to be a part of the team and be a part of what we're doing to help with projects like this, or if you want some good players to play with on launch, you are free to be a part of everything that we are doing and would love to have you. But otherwise, as always, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. Peace.